Hello everyone, welcome back to Canary Cast. Before we start, yes, I am hidden the hair. It's annoyed a few people, don't worry about it. But today we're joined by the full cast. We've got Jacob and Joe. Jacob, how are you?
Yeah, very well, mate. I just want to start off by saying thanks very much for 200 subscribers. And the OG listeners will remember this because I've thanked you both before. But I just want to say I think I work with the best editor, the best designer in the whole Norwich sphere.
You're right.
And the best script writer who sets me up with easy questions for me to look like I know what I'm talking about half the time. So, yeah, thanks very much, boys. And we're going to go out tomorrow to celebrate, aren't we?
Yeah, a few drinks tomorrow, because why not? We won't be allowed
only till 10 p.m. though, because of the curfew.
Yeah.
So, and we'll all be masked up. Don't worry about it. Joe, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Looking forward to tomorrow, and looking forward to the game on Sunday as well. I think it's a bit of a big opportunity for us. We'll go into that later, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Let's talk about the opponents, Bournemouth, fellow relegated side, and they've had sort of a similar start to the season. What have you made of them so far?
I think
don't go all at once.
You could almost put all three relegated teams in the same bracket, like not just in terms of results so far this season, with all of us picking up one win, one draw. But I also think that if you look at all three squads, Norwich, Watford, and Bournemouth, I think they're all strong enough to win this league and get promoted out of this league. But none of us have really kicked on so far, and I think this could be an opportunity for Norwich to really put their foot down and be like, no, like it's our league to win, and sort of knock Bournemouth off their perch, if you like. I suppose they're not really on one, but I do think one of the three relegated teams needs to put their foot down and be like, no, it's our league to win.
And Bournemouth will be looking to do something very similar. Jacob, what do you reckon?
I do agree with Joe, but then I also disagree with Joe. So I think for me, Bournemouth and Brentford are the only ones, along with us, that have the firepower in this league to be able to be sloppy, but then win a game. So, for example, Watford, I don't think have a good enough attacking force, really. Millwall, who could be up there. Who else? Forest, who have started dodgily. Derby, all of those, I don't think have enough of a kind of attacking force, apart from Bournemouth, Brentford and Norwich, to be able to outscore teams this season and not have to really be that worried about a defensive solidity. We made a championship prediction, and none of us put Bournemouth in the top six, and
That's
we're all going to look
foolish.
very stupid about that, because it's almost guaranteed they're finishing. You look at their squad. Like I was at the golf striking range yesterday, and Shawnee, who will be watching this, kind of reminded me about David Brooks. I was like, what? David Brooks is still there? This is a £50 million touted player. I don't think he's that much worth that much at the minute, but he's a Premier League quality player in a team. You look at Jefferson Lerma, they spent 25 million on him. Lloyd Kelly, Jack Stacey. Asmir Begovic is still alive and still there. He's been at AC Milan and Chelsea, for crying out loud.
And the best striker in the league, Solanke.
That's their only weakness. That's the only point where they're weak. Sam Surridge scored a very nice goal, like you were saying off video yesterday, Harvey. And he's good at this level. He did well for Swansea last season in parts. But I think there's a very strong squad there. Dan Juma as well. Adam Smith, Dan Gosling have been in the Premier League with them for the 5 years. Mepham, they spent big money from Sheffield United. That's Lewis Cook. We forget about him. On his day, he could run a midfield at this level. Philip Billing, who I thought was class for Huddersfield when he was down here last time. Yeah, this is a very, very strong squad that Bournemouth have kind of got. It's just depending on how good Jason Tindall is really over the season.
Because they were on such a downward spiral from last season, let's just discuss Jason Tindall for a bit. Because I think if you're used to losing that many games and you've been relegated, you should really make a change. And I know we didn't, but if you've been on a downward spiral for that long and you just go for the assistant of the previous manager, is that enough of a change to like sort of start a revival?
I'll be honest, I don't think you need that good a manager with that squad to be able to get it up into the top six, realistically. I'm surprised they've kept all of that core together. And like you were saying, Joe, they've lost three big players, haven't they, really, in Ramsdale, Ake and Wilson, so they still have money to spend. If they buy enough to kind of strengthen in certain areas, like up front, maybe a fullback, I'm not sure if Rico's staying going, but they could potentially fullback areas. And then if you want to strengthen that goalkeeper position, Mark Travers was not great on against Blackburn. And then Begovic, again, is his heart really in staying in the Championship? I'm not too sure. But it's a very strong squad, mate. And I don't know if he needs to be that tactically astute. I don't think the league's that strong this year. They should be getting top six easily.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's two clubs that are pretty much dripping in top tier quality, really. But one
Yeah,
of
there
the
is,
top
yeah.
tier quality is Aaron's, who looks like he probably won't start, as he's been touted all across Europe by this point. Um, who has the better quality in the side? Obviously, Norwich have made a lot of signings of sort of middling level, let's call it that. But they also have a lot of proven Premier League strikers, for example, Timu Puki, where Bournemouth haven't made that many signings, but they've kept a lot of their core team together. Who do you reckon edges it?
I'd rather a midfield of Jefferson Lerma, Lewis Cook, and Philip Billing over Kenny McLean. I'm not going to say Ollie Skip because I think Ollie Skip's played well, but that's where that midfield, where most of the games are won and lost in the Championship, is that midfield organ. That's just like, it's destructive in there. And to be fair, Bournemouth will want to keep the ball and play pretty football, which will probably suit Norwich better than a physical Preston side who kind of exposed our flaws at times. Yeah, it's a strong squad. I'd say Bournemouth have the better options at the moment.
I'm tempted to agree with Jacob. I think at the moment they are probably stronger on paper, but I think the Norwich squad includes more unknown quantities, if you like. So we've had players imported from the continent, so Sorensen, players like that haven't sort of applied their trade at this level before, and are thus an unknown quantity. But if they sort of kick on and do really well and prove that they could even sort of compete in the Premier League, then I think there's an argument to say Norwich have got the stronger squad. But at the moment, on paper, I'll go with Jacob and say Bournemouth.
I'm going to say both teams can attack well, neither can defend. So it could be a bit of a goals galore, but then I'm saying that it's probably end up 0-0 like it was last season.
So let's talk goals galore. Bournemouth 3, Blackburn 2 was their previous game. It's a bit of an odd one because, again, I feel like I razz on him a lot, but Dominic Solanke actually scored in this game. So maybe he's
scored
found
against
his level.
Borough as well.
Mm-hmm.
He scored against Borough, and that was a lovely goal. I don't think the keeper did very well, but the technique for it was good. At this level, out of the spotlight, potentially he could shine. He's going to have a lot more chances. And to be fair to him, in the back end of the Premier League season after lockdown, he actually performed very well. I thought he's one of those players who I don't think was ever good enough for Chelsea. I don't know how he got the move to Liverpool, and then it's just kind of gone to Bournemouth for, again, huge money. And I don't really know what Eddie Howe saw in him to spend that much money. I think if you're talking about half the price tag there, then he wouldn't have anywhere near as much pressure on him. He's not a natural goal scorer. I don't think he's really a natural striker. Potentially, you could say he'd like to drop off and be number 10 style. But you still got to look out for him this weekend. I'd say anyone could beat Christoph Zimmermann if he was as poor as he was against Preston. So I'd like to see Ben Gibson in there. And there's going to be obviously a problem without Kieran Dow now.
Just on the Blackburn result for them, it was Dan Juma or Groneveld, whatever he's got on the back of his shirt now. It was a fairly late winner from what I remember. I remember seeing him play. Yeah, remember seeing him play for the Dutch under-21s at Carrow Road when James Maddison came back with the England under-21s, obviously. And he was best player on the park. I thought it was real danger that night, and I hadn't heard of him before that. And obviously, Bournemouth picked him up. I think he is a really good player. He's certainly got potential to be. And you mentioned Max Aarons briefly there, Harvey, whether he plays or doesn't play this week. I think I'd probably play him because he is going to be marking Danjuma, and I don't think Bali Mumba is quite up to that yet. I think it would be a bit of a baptism of fire for Mumba if he was to start over
weren't
Aarons.
on the Aarons video, Joe, so do you think we need a backup fullback if he does leave?
I do, yeah. I'm not sure I'd fully commit to a transfer. I think probably I'd look at a loan for a couple of reasons. One, because we don't really want the financial commitment at the moment, because we don't know what sort of level we're going to be at next year. And also, I think that there's not that long left to get a replacement in, and I suppose all the scouting and that will be done months ago. You know how Stuart Webber has got his succession lists. But I think if it was me, I'd probably opt for a loan. Yeah.
Anyone come to mind?
Well, I saw Lamptey at Brighton at the weekend. He looks quality, but I think he might be in and around their team. Yeah, unfortunately, I think he might be playing for them. So I don't know. I don't know how much Sheffield United are planning on using Bogle, who they signed from Derby this summer. I think he'd be nice on loan. Anyway, sort of young attacking wing back will do the job.
Awesome. So the other two players who I have listed by our lovely scriptwriter are the Argentine legend Buendia and Adam Eder. Do you reckon they'll feature at all in the game?
Well, they're going to have to, mate. They're going to have to because we haven't got anyone else there. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm going to divert slightly. And obviously, Kieran Dowell is injured until 2021. And we put our tweet out saying, do we need to bring Sinani back? Do we need to have a loan? Do we need to have a transfer? And then you saw another few people saying, we've got loads of options there. We've got Vrancic. Vrancic can't run. Got Kenny McLean. Kenny McLean's a CDM. He doesn't play cam. We've got Hernandez. We've got Plaheta. They're wingers. They're not Kieran Dowell creative players. Who else was there? We've got Stiepermann. Stiepermann's injured. We've got Eder. Eder's a striker who can play wing. He's not going to create everything. So currently we have Todd Cantwell and EMI Buendia, who are our two creative outlets. One cannot be bothered.
Yeah, what is your thoughts on Todd Cantwell, Jacob?
Well, for the first two games, he hasn't been bothered and he hasn't looked like creating. I would be better in that side than him currently. Anyone would be, because there will be a little bit of heart and passion. If he brings his heart and passion to the game, then of course he can influence it. But I don't believe he will, because I still think he's potentially sulking. EMI Buendia is not match fit. And the one thing you need with EMI Buendia is really fitness in those legs, because it's evident when he is at 70, 80%. I think even at this level, he'll still do a job, but he won't do as good a job, obviously, when he's 100% fit. Stating the obvious, I am Captain Obvious there. But so we've got two creative options. For me, my now Ben Gibson option, who I said back in January for listeners who are only just watching, and obviously we've signed him. My one is Emile Smith-Rowe from Arsenal. Was very good at Huddersfield last season, drifting in between the midfield and the defence in that number 10 role. He's a big boy. Could do height-wise, probably a bit more physicality, decent with both feet, and I don't think he's really going to be in the Arsenal plans enough for him to not be able to be sacrificed out on loan. I think until January, you bring him in just as a backup, whilst EMI gets fit, if EMI stays, fingers crossed. Bin off Todd, I don't really care. Bring him in, bit of creative freedom. Wouldn't be a problem, I think, until January. See what Dow's saying, then you can extend it till the end of the season. So yeah, Emile Smith-Rowe, he's my player to buy.
Well, that was not the answer I expected from that. Joe, what do you reckon?
So what?
Well, that's a very good point.
But yeah, no, Adam Eder to start.
Adam Eder or Buendia to start.
Adam Eder to start, Buendia bench.
If Buendia has been put in his place this week after not starting or not being involved last week due to his injury, I think this is a game where you say, right, go on then, EMI, one of the better teams in the league, go out there and show that you are the best player in this league, or earn yourself a move, whatever he prefers. I think we know the answer to that, but just get out there and prove that you are the best player in this league would be my message to him. I think he's got to start. Jacob's already gone over the problems that we've got in that position. If there's a player that's going to win us this game or any game this season, it's EMI Buendia. He might not score it, but he'll create it. And I think the sooner we get him in that team, the better. My only worry with that is that someone sees it and puts in a bid.
But I guess the other thing is Norwich are going up probably some of the strongest opposition that they will receive in the league. And if he plays like absolute garbage in the Championship, then no one will put in a bid. So maybe put him in about 50% match fitness, know that he'll perform really badly, and keep him for the entire season.
And
let's
not forget, Norwich have had no interest in him. There has been nothing. Like potentially Leeds have been rumoured in around, but there have been no bids. There's been nothing. So he needs to perform, really. If he wants to move in the last, 2-3 weeks of the window, I know 2 weeks until the foreign teams can't get us, but there's a domestic one until the middle of October, and he wants to play in the Premier League. He should really be banging down the door and saying, look, let me perform, and then either I move or I help this team kind of progress quickly into the top 6 and solidify that position.
I would imagine it's the lack of goals he scored last season that is putting teams off, if you like. I wonder if they're waiting to see how he starts this season. If he grabs 3 or 4 goals in the first few weeks, then perhaps we'll see a bid come in. I think that's the only sort of weakness in his game that a buying team would flag up. And
his slight aggression. At times it tempers on it goes over the line, doesn't it? Yeah, I like to see, like we were saying the other week about passion and some players not showing it enough. He does show it. I'm not going to go on a vendetta, but there's some players who, and in other teams as well, you can see it's obvious about like who wants to play, who doesn't, blah 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 blah. But with Emmy, you know that he is giving 100%. It's just sometimes he shows it in a way you don't want to see, with the arms flailing or just standing there moaning, which is not all the case. I'm not going to say, but they could be looking at that as well. I'm thinking, for the money Norwich wants, you want someone who's, like you say, Joe, polished, finished article. Goals will help, and maybe you just rough out those edges, really.
Let's move on to a full predicted 11. Let's start with the defence.
Michael McGovern.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, I think there's no point even discussing goalkeepers. So let's just move on with McGovern in goal. Defensively, Aaron's to start.
Start him. Stan Juma, I think he needs to be marshalled well. Start Aaron's.
Fair play to him if his head's correct and ready, because a lot of players wouldn't be. He wants to move. Let's be fair. And to be fair to him, though, he's done it in the right way. He's not moaning. And against Preston, he played well. He was a player fully focused on the game, wasn't he? And I don't know if that Barcelona move will happen with the Dest thing. It seems to be moving along.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich could still be sniffing around. You never know. I'd still expect him to move. But like you say, Joe, if this was against a weaker opposition, potentially the perfect time for Barley member. But this is probably a bit too much of a baptism of fire to start him in his first championship game at right back against Dan Juma. Yeah,
it could be Aaron's farewell game as well. You never know. So yeah, start him.
Centre back options. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Godfrey and Gibson. Zimmerman. No, thank you.
Zimmerman, the human coach with a turning circle of 8 miles. He's probably.
I love him. I love Christoph Zimmerman.
He's so inconsistent.
When you're getting out jumped by 5'7", 5'8" Sean Maguire, and being outpaced and being out of position, arguably for the second goal against Preston. I know Ollie Skip was slight to blame there, but Christoph was in the right back position. He shouldn't have been there. So yeah, for me, he just doesn't look ready. I think this again is a big test. I know Ben Gibson isn't 100% match fit, but you've got to start him at some point. Yeah. And I think this is the perfect game for him.
That's what I was thinking. I think, do you throw a unfit Ben Gibson in against one of the better teams in the league? But after Zimbo's performance last week and Hanley injury, and I think just chuck him in, see what he can do. This is what we bought him for, so let's get him out there, see what he can do.
Spot on, mate.
And then Xavi Quintilla, I don't think there's any argument there.
There's no choice. No other choice.
Well, yeah. I think he started pretty well, actually, his Norwich City career. I think this will be his big test, because let's be honest, Preston didn't really use the wings effectively in terms of going wide. They kind of went in inverted, didn't they, to kind of exploit our weaknesses there. And Xavi, I don't think, is as strong defensively as going forward. And it'll be it'll be interesting to see what he's like now without any real competition. Is he going to just because he needs some self-motivation, surely? I'm still amazed we get rid of Sam McCallum. I said it in the last Aaron's video. I just do not understand that. I know he needs game time, but Xavi Quintilla is not good enough to be like, right, he is guaranteed championship left back for the season. And to be fair, fitness-wise, who knows if he's going to... Imagine if he gets injured. It's just square pegs in round holes. But we'll leave that for another discussion video, because Harvey wants me to move on.
Yes, I do. Midfield. Now, this is this is madness. So, Ollie Skip will undoubtedly return to the side. And I'm looking at a predicted lineup now, and they say Ollie Skip, Kenny McLean, Todd Cantwell, and Placheta.
I don't think Kenny was that good last week.
No, I don't. Again, I just don't know what Kenny McLean offers enough in this game. The way he passes, I don't know if he's like a step ahead of everyone else, because the way he just pings a ball in, like, you know how he's so aggressive in the way he's not really suited to our style of play, is he? We're a lot better at just kind of passing around, being delicate, being intricate. And Kenny's not that player at all. You see him running around, he's a bit of a headless chicken at times. And everything he does is so quick and so aggressive, apart from tackling, because he doesn't do that very well. But yeah, but there's no one else really to put there. Again, I don't think Jacob Sorensen's ready. There's a reason why he's not been in the 18 yet. Mario Vrancic cannot last 90 minutes. He can't really last 45, to be honest with you. So you can't really start him. And then you've excluded Tom Tribal and Moritz Leitner. So realistically, it will be Kenny.
Perhaps we can see the return of the king. Tete returns to the side.
Yeah, I think Skip and Tete would be a lovely combination. You know, I think they would suit each other down to the ground, but he doesn't want to play as many games this season. The knees have gone. I don't think Daniel Farke wants to kind of batter him anymore. It would be a lovely mix, but at the end of the day, I think you've got to move away from that. He's leaving at the end of the season now. You can't be relying on Alex Tete again for another promotion campaign, really.
I think we will see Kenny and Skip. I think it's just Farke's preferred two. If come Sunday lunchtime, I saw Tete's name on the team sheet, I'd feel confident. I always feel more confident when he's in the team. But I do think Kenny is the Daniel Farke's most trusted sort of semi-attack minded central midfielder. So I do think we'll see Skip and McLean.
I'm going to put this out to you, Joe, mate. What about, because we've got no Kieran Dowell, a three-man midfield? Kenny McLean, Alex Tete, Ollie Skip.
Stumped. Absolutely stumped. He's got
I lost you there.
nothing.
I lost you there. Was that a three-man midfielder, Tete, Skip, McLean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I don't think we'll see it because Farke's too stubborn in his system. But I don't think Bournemouth away is the place to try a new formation. I like the idea of it, Jacob. Don't get me wrong, but no, not this weekend.
Fair enough.
Let's stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation and move into the three. Who do you reckon for those three positions? With Dowell out, you imagine the inclusion of Placheta will be in. But who fills those other two roles?
I think O'Neill will start because he's had a decent start to the season and he's sort of been given the reins this season, if you like, in terms of being a creative force and a danger for us. EMI, please play EMI, Daniel, please. I think he should start, and then I wouldn't be surprised if I know it's two wingers, if you like, and he will invert them, but I think there's an argument to say that Placheta could start this week. He obviously missed a sitter at the weekend, but he did grab a goal, and that was the harder chance.
And got engaged, by the way. And got engaged. So
yes, he did. Yeah, doesn't hang about on or off the pitch. But yeah, I think there's an argument to start him this week. I think he showed enough intent last week to put his name into the hat at least.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I think it's going to be, it will be, not what I think it should be. It will be Placheta, Hernandez, Cantwell. That's what it will be.
What would you prefer?
Not happy with.
What would you prefer it to be?
Well, I don't think Hernandez played very well against Preston. But there's probably no one else to put there. A surprise! I wouldn't start Todd. I would prefer to see EMI. I'd like to see Placheta, Hernandez, EMI. Cool, that would be very nice. I think Buendia would really thrive under kind of two direct wingers either side of him as well. Kind of the way he plays the game, just those lovely through balls passed between centre back and full back would be dreamy. But yeah, I don't want to dream about that too much, Harvey, because it's all false hope. It will be Placheta, Hernandez, Cantwell.
There's no manoeuvrability for perhaps an Ida start on the wing.
I'd love to see that as well. I don't think Hernandez was good enough against Preston. So for me, I would start Ida and Placheta. But that would be my kind of controversial one, because I think they've both performed better in the first two games than Hernandez and Cantwell have in terms of actually creating chances. When Adam Ida comes on, he makes things happen, you know. He's not scared to he's rough, but who cares? Like that shot against Preston where he's just taking it by himself. He's a threat at this level, and that's really good to see. I hope we see him a lot more as the games go more and more into the season.
You said it yourself, Jacob, when he comes on. I think he's more of an impact sub at the minute. I don't think you give him the full 90.
I think you could start him and still scare the living daylights out of defenders. I don't think that would be a problem. But at the end of the day, like you say, he's not really a winger. And defensively, I would say, unless we're chasing a game, like you say, against a Bournemouth side who will have fullbacks going forward, it's probably best not to start him. But the fan inside of me is saying, let's just give him a go and see what he can do. But no, I do understand what you mean there.
So up top, Teemu Pukki's found himself amongst the goals again. But is there an argument for Hugo?
No,
not for Hugo. Possibly for Ida, not for Hugo. We haven't seen enough of him for him to cement a starting place. I could see the argument with Ida. He's had a very encouraging start to the season, but I would go with Pukki. He's found the back of the net. Let's hope he can start finding his confidence again now. Certainly, I don't think there's an excuse to drop Pukki, so I would start with Teemu.
No, I completely agree. I don't think there's an argument for either up front simply because Mepham and Steve Cook or Lloyd Kelly, whoever they put at centre back, are experienced enough to be able to sort either out up front realistically. And like you say, Joe, Teemu Pukki, 1 goal, 1 assist in 2 games. You can't moan at that. He looks sharp. He looks hungry. I think Kugel and Ida being backups are definitely helping. And he looks back to his hungry self. He needs to be because hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a Euros at the end of the season, which Finland are obviously going to be going to, and he'll be the main guy for them. So I think that's where his hunger will lie mainly, and obviously firing us back up to the Premier League. Fingers crossed.
If Bournemouth go with 5 at the back, I would feel more confident with Teemu Pukki up front than I would either of the other 2.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree.
Cool. I think we've got a pretty nailed on side there. So now let's move on to the dreaded predictions. Joe, we'll start with you. Win, loss, or draw?
Okay. I think me and Jacob might actually be in the same boat this week. I'm going 1-1. Like I said earlier, it's an opportunity for either of these teams to really put their foot down and make a claim and say, no, look, this is our league title to win. However, in the first few weeks, neither team have been particularly good. It should be a good game, but I've got a feeling it might be a bit of a stale one. Obviously, we'll concede. I think they will as well. That gives me their defensive woes give me more sort of confidence than our attacking prowess. But I'm going to go 1-1.
Well, I think we got an answer there, but
I'm sorry, God. Right, yeah, I agree. I agree with Joe. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we succumb to a 2-1, 3-1 defeat. But I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to be as optimistic as I can because, like Joe said, I don't think Bournemouth have been at top gear yet. And both sides have got attacking kind of better going forward than they are defensively. So I would say, unless Ben Gibson comes in, where I think we would solidify a lot more. But back to the point. 1-1. A solid draw would be lovely going into Derby next week.
Important points. I think, in my opinion, it has a high-scoring draw all over it, and there will be
Desmond.
It will be pretty much predatory attacks on defensive mistakes because both have looked a bit shaky. Bournemouth, I think, have looked better defensively than Norwich have, but then perhaps they haven't been as lethal up front, and they've still scored plenty of goals. But it does look like it's going to be a capitalising on mistakes game rather than the best football you've ever seen. So I'm going to go with 2-2.
Proper championship.
Yeah.
Probably proper championship game, really, isn't it? Sweet.
Excellent stuff. Right then, I think that will do. I think we've been talking with and without internet for a while now. As always, first of all, sorry about that. It's not our fault. It's Joe's. And second of all, join us next time for probably a review of the Bournemouth game. And I think we've got next week.
Has a better router.
Yeah. If not, we'll just cut him out. He's not here.
He'll probably not turn up, Harvey. He'll probably not turn up. It'll be me and you.
I'll sack it off. The internet's playing up. Sorry, lad.
Excellent stuff. Next week, I think we've got some really exciting stuff. So if you could give us a subscribe, because honestly, it's going to be a really exciting week next week. Great games, great guests. I think we've got 3 guests lined up next week. So do the smart thing.
It's going to be a long week.
It's going to be a very long week. do the smart thing. Give us a subscribe, give us a like, share amongst your friends on Twitter and Facebook, and until next time, have a good one.
See you later.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the last video. Before you go, Canarycast has teamed up with FansBet. It's a bookmakers made by the fans for the fans. We're able to offer you, our viewers, a welcome offer whereby FanBet will boost your deposit by 50% up to the value of £100. To utilise this offer, use the Canarycast sign-up code or click the link in the description below. Well, I enjoyed that last video.